Okay. All right, put your hands down, folks. We have more opportunities. I see everybody's ready now. I had to put the L word out there first, huh? Okay. This is a criteria that we use to evaluate our goals, to see if we have good goals that are actionable. We make goals all the time, but we're always learning how to write them better, and how we write them makes a difference in how we evaluate ourselves afterwards. So these 5 criteria are criteria that we're using to evaluate our goals. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they action-oriented? Are they realistic? And are they time-constrained? It should be all 5 things. Does anybody have any questions about any one of these criteria, what it means? Excuse me? What's your name? Eric Grove. Off the board. Measurable means that it is quantified. How many hours do you want to study more this semester? When you say maintain your GPA, what is that GPA that you're trying to maintain? Maintain it at what level? If you say increase it or get better grades, how much better? What is your GPA now? What GPA do you want to get this semester? That's measurable. It's quantifiable so that when you evaluate it later, it's clear whether or not you achieved that particular goal or not. Any other questions? Yes?
What do you mean by real?
I tell students this just as a gauge. Only you know what's realistic, but there should be some gauges. So for example, if you say you want to get a 4.0, I would want to know when's the last time you got a 3.0. I would just want to know. I just ask. Now maybe you know, maybe that is realistic for you, but seemingly it is not. If you haven't seen a 3.0 recently, seemingly that would be a more realistic goal than a 4.0. Or if you say you're going to get a 4.0 this semester, I would want to know when's the last time you got an A, you know, in a core subject class, right? You should have at least one. You should be in the neighborhood. That's what we mean when we say realistic. That it should be. If you run track and you say you want to run a 10 flat, I want to know that you're 10 something right now. Don't come in here with an 11 talking about it by the end of the semester you're going to be running the 10 flat. We're going to wonder if that's realistic. We're going to wonder if you've been running at all, right? So that's what we mean when we say realistic. I saw a question on this side. Yes, ma'am. Time constrained. That simply means there's a deadline or a frequency. So when you talk about studying more, is this on a weekly basis? If you're talking about getting a job, this is very important on the time constraint. When? When will you have the job? When can I come and see you and you have the job? There's a deadline to this thing, right? Some things are over the course of the semester. Some things will happen at a specific time. If you say you want to meet more people, how many more people and when? When will you meet the next person? What will be the frequency of this activity? That's what we mean by time constraint, or what will be the deadline for the goal to actually have been completed. That's what we're looking for there. Yes? Action-oriented, your goal should speak to something that you are doing. So if you have a goal that does not have a clear action in it, then you need to think about what action will help you to achieve that goal and restate that goal in the terms of that particular action. Right? So it should be action-oriented in that way. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to get a couple of people to throw one of your goals out there, and then I want somebody else to tell us what criteria that goal meets and which criteria that goal fails to meet, so that person can get somebody to help them improve their goals. So who do we have? Yes. Read it loudly so that we can get an evaluator that can hear you.
Well, I put volunteers, so get more involved in the community.
Okay.
And I think that goes with action-oriented.
Okay. What's it missing, anybody? What's your name? Victor, and what's your name?
Vanessa Coleman.
Vanessa and Victor. Let's get them off the board. What is that goal missing as far as criteria?
Specific, like what do you want to do in the community?
Yes.
Like what are your goals?
Well, I was thinking, because besides the medical field, I maybe like I want to help out the youth.
Okay.
So something involving the youth.
Okay. What else does it need? It sounds realistic enough. She wants to get involved in the community.
It's realistic.
But it could be more, well, I don't know if you know each other. Maybe he's saying, oh, she's never going to volunteer. But I don't think that's what he's saying. I'm just joking. I just try to be a little provocative at times. But it could be more specific in terms of the type of volunteer experience you want. I think saying youth helps to get there, and saying that it might be in the medical profession, that helps to get there. The other things it could be time constrained, like by when or how often. It could be more measurable. How many hours of volunteer work do you want to do? These are important considerations because we say we want to volunteer, but then we find out, man, I think it takes 5 hours a week. I don't have that. Or, oh, this is good. It's once a week. I can do that. You see what I'm saying? So how much volunteer work do you want to do? And by when do you want to identify this place? That's important for you because that's what gives you urgency and pushes you to actually accomplish that goal, is when you say, I want to have this done by a certain date. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you.
Oh, specifically like what?
You're saying it could be more specific too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What's your name?
Them.
Let's get Jennifer off the board. Was there anybody else that I didn't get off the board that I needed to? Yes, ma'am, you want to get off the board?
Actually,
Still got a lot of names on this board. We got 25 minutes. 25 minutes to get your name off of that board. Everybody have all their classes down? Have all your grade goals down? A little louder.
My first one is for psychology 41 class as well.
Okay.
And Professor Dr. Williams, and mainly because we've been taking a couple of quizzes and one exam, and his test questions are tricky. He'll confuse you when he states it. Is that yeah. Oh, I heard. And my other one is my microbiology as well. The professor is Brown, and I just want to go in to make sure I can actually get my grade.
Okay. Okay, good choices again. What's your name again? Gabriela Herrera, right there. Right here. Yes. A little loud.
the first one I chose my chemistry professor.
Can you hear her back there? Kind of.
Oh, I chose my chemistry professor because right now he's been going over the lessons a little too fast, and during discussion it's when we just told him that if he could go over everything again because no one really understood the lesson that day. And the other professor that I chose was my British literature teacher because it's my last honors class and I want to.
Okay, good choices. Any other people? Yes.
My name is Maria Mendoza.
A little louder.
My name is Maria Mendoza.
Maria.
Yes. And I'm taking physics 21, and I need to talk to my professor because his lecture is interesting but kind of boring. So maybe if it was just kind of like one-on-one, she
Right.
would make it more interesting.
Okay.
And that's my calculus teachers, well, Dr. Hill. Like the way he seems kind of erratic physically, but like there's really like really cool energy about him.
Okay. Okay, good. I saw a hand up here somewhere. Where did I see it? I saw another hand. Yes, go ahead.
I chose chemistry, and I have Dr. Hanley.
Okay.
I chose her because she's the department chair of chemistry. And,
Okay. Not a good representative of what we're looking for with your time scale. I'll show you what is a better representative of what we're looking for in your time scale. Well, I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll show you later. Right now, what we're looking for in your time schedule is everything that is happening in your life. We want it all on the time grid. From 7 in the morning till midnight, we want your grid full. Because everything that you say you want to do requires some time, right? And what we want to know is what time have you allocated for each of those things that are important to you? You're going to meet some new people, when is it going to happen? What time will you spend doing that? If you're going to go talk to your faculty people, when is that going to happen? Get it on your schedule. If you're going to volunteer, when are you going to volunteer? And this is not your regular schedule that we're talking about. My time grid is not your regular schedule. You can keep that on your phone, you can keep it in some schedule book, whatever you want to do. This grid is your ideal week. It's not the week where you're trying to figure out when you're going to do different things. No, this is the week where everything is happening perfectly. There's no disruptions. Nothing came up to disrupt it. This is that perfect week where I gave the amount of time to everything that's important to me that I wanted to give. And I come back on Saturday night and I'm like this, wow, what a great week that was. I made everything happen, no disruptions. It was a beautiful week. All we want to do is we want to have a picture of what that looks like, right? Aren't you always wondering how do you get that perfect week? Right? Aren't you always wondering what happened to the week? Right? There were so many things I wanted to do. None of it happened, right? What we want to do now is put all of that thinking aside and just paint the picture of the perfect week. We want us to at least know for ourselves what that perfect week for us actually looks like. And then all we want to do is slap that puppy up somewhere in our house, on the door, the refrigerator, the bulletin board, whatever you have, and every once in a while you take a look at it. And you say to yourself, I don't know if next week's going to be that week. I don't know if last week was that week. But one day, that's the week I'm going to have. I'm going to have that perfect week. That week where everything that I want to have, time with my family, time with the significant other, school study time. I balanced everything perfectly that week. What a great week it was. And I'm trying to find that week again. I'm trying to get back to that week. We want a picture of your perfect week where all of the things that you want to happen. So when you have that time grid, that's what I want you to try to do for yourself. Forget about all the things that come up and get in the way and just think about putting together the best week you could potentially have and at least know what it looks like, even if you never experienced it in your life. Right? You just know what it looks like. Okay. I want to cover this piece. You have something in your folder called an eco map. This is where we were talking about the usual suspects. This is a map of relationships. And I really enjoy this tool because everybody finds it pretty useful when they do it. And it's relationship. A lot of communication, strong relationship. This line with the hash marks on it represents a difficult relationship. Some conflict, some problem, some difficulty happening right now in that relationship. And then with each line, we will place arrows to represent whether or not that relationship is giving or receiving. If it's a giving relationship, that means you're always giving to the other person and the arrow points to them. If it's a receiving relationship, they're always taking care of you, then the arrow points to you. If it's both, that ideal giving-receiving relationship, then the arrow points both ways at both ends, right? And the goal is to have a map that has nothing but strong giving and receiving relationships like me and my fictional brother in here. I have to say fictional because I don't have that kind of relationship with any of my brothers right now. Well, the main missing piece with most of them is the giving and receiving part. That's the main missing piece. I would say probably with my oldest brother is the closest to that. With my younger brothers, it's all give. No receive, right? And I got a bunch of brothers. I got 6 of them. So I'm always dealing with them. But we want a map full of those strong giving and receiving relationships. And if you look at it, if you have a map with mostly giving and receiving relationships, it looks like a web. It looks like a net, a supportive, actually, network. And that's what you're trying to have. You're trying to have a supportive net for you and your goal, right? Because if you got a bunch of these lines, then what do you know? What does that say to you, people who are still on the board, if you have a bunch of weak lines, weak relationships? What does that say about you and your goals? Yes, sir. What's your name? Luis.
It's not either strong enough or you're not communicating enough.
That's what it says you need to do. But what does it say about your life and your goals? You're on your own. You're isolated and you're on your own. It's just you. Yes, ma'am.
The students having a part-time job, also they have the co-workers and the
Yeah,
supervisors.
absolutely. Did
It's
everybody
not
hear
there.
that?
It's not there.
What's your name again?
Elizabeth Hernandez.
Let's get Elizabeth off the board. Good job. Your job should also be a consistent person outside. So it might be your supervisor, it might be co-workers, any of those people. Very good point that you made there. That's a very consistent relationship that you have. The job plays a big factor, right? You need that job. Do you not? Need that money. Gotta have it, right? That relationship's important. What happens if the people at the job are not supportive of your school goals? We need you to work, we need you to work, we need you to work. It's tough, right? What if they're supportive? We understand you're a student. We understand your schedule, right? How many people have a supportive job right now? They understand your schedule. They work with you. They're flexible. How many people have a job that is not supportive? They just want you to work when they want you to work. They don't care about you in your school, right? Some people have that. Very good. So when you have a bunch of weak lines, you have isolation, and you are on your own, it is not the best situation for success. What happens if you have a bunch of these lines? What does that represent?
Stress.
What does that mean about your life and your goals?
Stress.
Stress. What else? Who said stress? Yes, you off the board yet? Let's get Linda off the board right here. Stress. What else, sir? Yes. It's almost impossible. Right? Why? Because of what Linda said. You're too stressed out, right? You're always thinking about it, right? That's where my usual suspect comes in, right? I tell my students sometimes, we will need to have a conversation with this girlfriend. Bring her to the session, counseling session. We will need to talk. And I am willing to be the one to break the news to her. I'm willing. And it goes a little something like this. We are wondering if this is a good relationship for us. As you know, we have goals. We are on the same team. We are on board with these goals. But we are wondering if you can be a part of this team. We're wondering if you are on board with us with these goals. We are wondering whether or not we can continue this relationship. We need to know now, we need to know today. Are you with us? Are you on board with our goals? Because if not, we will have to end this relationship. I'm sorry to say. I've had this conversation, not exactly like that, but I have. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to offer myself in this way. Because it's a conversation that needs to be had, right? It needs to be had with everybody. Now, 3 things we can do to improve the map. Everybody wants to know this because when I talk like that, what happens in everybody's mind, and I don't like this, I want you to know this, I don't like this, because I get blamed. What happens in everybody's mind is you're all sitting over there right now thinking about people you're going to get rid of.